welcome to our Ordinary Council meeting of the 27th of May 2025. Around the table we have, going anti-clockwise, Councillor Jason Sewell, Councillor Daryl Hudson, Deputy President Councillor Nadine McMorrin, myself, Shire President Robert Trepp, Councillor Beverly Ward, Councillor Wayne Alsop, and an leave of absence for today is Councillor Adam Metcalf. Our staff present, we have our CEO, Ms. Manisha Barthakar. Unfortunately, Ben Forbes has got a family sickness, so he's an apology for today. Our Manager of Governance and Community Services, Carly Rose, and our Manager of Corporate Services, Solomon Wale. Unfortunately, I do have some bad news to report. We lost another member of our community, Mrs. June Windsor, loving wife of Frank Windsor. So in accordance with our usual custom, we'll respect her with a minute's silence. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. There are no members of the public here in the gallery, so no public questions. We do, however, moving on to the next item, disclosures of interest. We do, however, have an item 11.3, which requires two of our councillors to declare a disclosure of interest. Councillor Hudson is a member of the board of the Dowerin Bowling Club, so he's declaring a financial interest. Councillor Wayne Alsop is an ordinary member of the bowling club, and he's declaring an impartiality interest, and both have submitted the paperwork for the meeting. Moving on to item 5, applications for leave of absence. There's one that I have put forward myself. I will not be attending the June meeting. I've got an overseas wedding to attend. So the recommendation for such, that by simple majority pursuant to sections 225 of the Local Government Act 1995, Councillor Trepp be granted leave of absence for the June meeting. Who wants to move that one? Councillor Alsop, seconded Councillor Ward. Those in favour? Am I allowed to vote for that? Yes. Unanimous, 6-0. Item 6, petitions and presentations. Nothing to declare. So moving on to the next item, item 7, confirmation of the minutes of the meeting we held on the 30th of April as detailed in attachment 7.1a. Trust you've all had time to read and review that, and they represent a true and correct record. So moving straight on with the recommendation that by simple majority pursuant to sections 522 and 3.18 of the Local Government Act 1995, the minutes of the Ordinary Council meeting held 30th of April 2025 as presented in attachment 7.1a be confirmed as a true and correct record of proceedings. Who would like to move that one, please? Councillor Hudson, and the seconder, Councillor Alsop. All those in favour? 6-0, carried. Yes, on the 14th of April, we held a local emergency management committee meeting. We reviewed the local emergency management arrangements, among other things, which is coming up in a subsequent recommendation. But firstly, the minutes are attached in attachment 8.1a. The recommendation is pretty straightforward, that by simple majority pursuant to sections 522 and 3.18 of the Local Government Act 1995, the minutes of the local Emergency Management Committee meeting held on the 14th of April 2025 as presented in attachment 8.1a be received. Who wants to move that one, please? Councillor Ward, and seconded Councillor Sewell. All those in favour? By show of hands, 6-0. Thank you. Carried. As I just said, one of the outcomes of that was to update the local emergency management arrangements as detailed in attachment 9.11a. We have reviewed this before the meeting and note that there were a couple of minor amendments which have been communicated to our relevant manager, and they have since been updated. There is provision for the CEO to update these details as required anyway, but so the recommendation 9.11, that in accordance with regulations 16 and 17 of the Local Government Audit Regulations 1996, the Local Emergency Management Committee recommend that Council 1 endorse the updated LEMA as presented in attachment 9.11a, and 2 authorises the CEO to update any contact and or resource information within the LEMA as required. Pretty straightforward. Anyone wish to comment? No. Councillor Hudson moves it. A seconder. Councillor Ward. All those in favour, by show of hands, 6-0. Carried. Moving on to item 10, announcements by the President without discussion. All I would like to say is I had a relatively busy month since the last council meeting. 2 days after the last council meeting, the deputy, myself, and CEO attended Councillor Hudson, myself, and the CEO attended the Wheat Belt Futures Forum down at Northam. It was a great day. There were some very interesting presentations that were made. I will forward one of those presentations regarding the transition to net zero to all councillors in a subsequent email. On the 8th of May, the CEO and myself met with Wheat Belt Development Corporation to look at the Mortlock Gardens housing precinct down in Northam, which was a bit of an eye-opener. There was a 1.4 acre site that had 18 unit development. It was very professionally done, landscaped, and is a great success. So we took some good advice from Wheat Belt Development Corporation, Commission, as how we might be able to replicate that here in Dowerin. On the 12th of May, myself and a bunch of Shire staff attended the emergency management course put on by WALGA, Emergency Management for Local Government. That was well received. It was quite a long day. We had trouble finding parking and had to walk 1 kilometre to get there. My fault. On the 17th of May, we held a DFES Awards Night, which again recognised the contribution made by a lot of our volunteers in the community. That went down very well. And we've already had our first budget meeting, which we held on the 21st of May. Pretty straightforward. So the next item is to report the financial activity statements, which are detailed in attachment, if I can scroll down quick enough, attachment 11.1a. The recommendation that Council by simple majority pursuant to regulations 34 of the Local Government Financial Management Regulations 1996 receives the draft financial activity statement report for the period April 2025 as presented in attachment 11.1A. Who would like to move that, please? Councillor Ward, and seconded by Councillor Alsop. Would either of you like to make a comment on that? Ask any questions? No? I will just make note that one of the charts there did show that we came pretty close to Community Fund having $0 in it, but I'm assured by our CEO that that was purely a timing thing and that we have since received money, and from now to the rest of the year we don't have any further issues. We also discussed in our workshop some of the summary documents in that attachment regarding the CRC financing and the home care financing. Now I'd like to put it to the vote. All those in favour? 6-0, carried. The next item is to review the April 2025 list of payments and the March credit card Caltex card statements as presented in attachments 11.2A and 11.2B. The recommendation 11.2, the Council by simple majority pursuant to section 6.81A of the Local Government Act 1995 and Regulation 12 and 13 of the Local Government Financial Management Regulations 1996 receives a report from the CEO on the exercise of delegated authority in relation to creditor payments from the Shire of Dowerin Uni Fund as presented in attachments 11.2A and 11.2B and as detailed below. And for those of you listening in from outside, this month totaled $554,455.48. It's a relatively light on month for the Shire of Dowerin. We did check the sequencing to do our due diligence on that. We would like to move that motion, please. Councillor Saw, seconded Councillor McMorrin. Any comments you would like to make either? Councillor Hudson, did you want to make a comment? No? Okay, all those in favour? 6-0, carried. The next item is a repeat of one that was put up last month that the motion failed due to perceived having a lack of a quorum, but we've since done our homework and have been advised we do have a quorum because Councillor Alsop is only needing to declare an impartiality interest. So he is able to vote. Councillor Hudson, for the record, has just left the room. The item is to withdraw $9,500 from the Shire Reserve for that purpose, to expend $9,500 more for a higher quality gold flecked surface covering for the bowling green, which was damaged in a storm earlier on this year. It is being paid for by insurance, but the upgrade is going to cost an extra $9,500. So the recommendation 11.3, that Council by absolute majority in accordance with section 6.81B and section 6.112 of the Local Government Act 1995 and Regulation 33A of the Local Government Financial Management Regulations 1996 resolves to 1. Support the request from the Dowerin Bowling Club to upgrade the synthetic surface to the gold fleck product at an additional cost of $9,500 above the amount covered by insurance. 2. Approve the transfer out and expenditure of $9,500 from the bowling green reserve to fund the cost difference. Who would like to move that please. Councillor Alsop and seconded Councillor Sewell. Would either of you like to make a comment on that? No, no one against. Put it to the vote. 5-0. Carried. Right, the next item, item 12, relates to a new policy, salary review policy and draft CEO performance document, which is required to be done once per year by the Act. We have that policy in attachment. Bear with me, attachment 4.1A. Trust that we've all read that and it's pretty straightforward. So the officer's recommendation, 4.1, that council by absolute majority, 1, adopt the attached Shire of Dowerin CEO performance and salary review policy. 2, establish a CEO performance review panel, comprising myself and 4 elected members, which we've got to decide right now. I'll read all the motion first. Appoint the Shire President as the presiding member of the panel, or authorise the panel to undertake CEO's annual performance and salary review in accordance with the Local Government Act 1995, Salaries and Allowance Act 1975, and the adopted policy. And item 5, determine whether that an independent consultant will be engaged for this review.
Consultant will not be engaged.
Okay, yes.
Member.
Thank you. Determine that an independent consultant will not be engaged for this review. However, we keep open the possibility for a independent panel member if the council otherwise resolves at a future date. And 6, requests the panel to report its findings and recommendations to council for formal endorsement. So before we put that to comment, can I call upon 4 councillors to nominate themselves for that review panel, in addition to myself? Councillor Hudson, Councillor Alsop, Councillor McMorrin, and Councillor Sewell. That was harder than extracting teeth. All right, so we've noted that down. Has anyone got a comment to make on that? No, no one objects to it. All right, put it to the vote. That's 6. Oh, sorry. Yes, I stand corrected. Who would like to move that?
I'll move it, please.
Councillor Hudson, and a seconder, Councillor Ward. Would either of you like to comment on that?
It's just straightforward, so pretty self-explanatory, the policy, and I think we just get on with it.
Yeah. Okay, all those in favour? 6-0, carried. Right, the next item is an initiative of management to review the town entry statement. We have money left over in the budget to actually refresh our signage as we approach the town from the west. However, it's probably only just enough money to do one sign to start with. It was noted that the current logo, or the old logo, did not refer to us as a wheat growing area. So the amendment to the logo includes a sheaf of wheat in gold colour. We will next year put money towards a rebranding of not just the town entry sign, but all places where it's used. So we will have to budget for that. But this particular item just refers to the single sign to be located on the Goomalling Dowerin Road in the west of the Shire. So the recommendation 12.2, that by simple majority, Council number 1 approves the use of the proposed amended logo on town entry signage as a temporary measure ahead of the formal corporate branding refresh in the 2025-26 financial year. And 2, notes that the full corporate style guide review incorporating the amended logo and unifying the Shire's various branding sets will be developed and costed in the 2025-26 financial year. Who would like to move that one? Okay, I'll move it, and Councillor Ward seconds it. I'll state that it'll be good to get this sign up before the Dowerin Field Days, which I'm pretty sure we have the capacity to do so. Councillor Ward, would you like to add any commentary to that?
Just like the new branding, that it reflects our area.
Yep. Good initiative from our CEO. All right, all those in favour? Councillor Sewell? No? 5-1. Yeah. Councillor Sewell noted as not agreeing. Yep. Carried. The next item is item 13.1, black spot clearing permit. We have a black spot project out on the Dowerin Meckering Road, which involved the remediation, which will take place probably in the next financial year, involves clearing 2 hectares of land. There are a couple of older gum trees, and in order to do so, we need to offset that. So DWER, Department of Water and Environmental Regulation, has declared that we need to offset, and we have chosen a particular existing wooded area of 2.1 hectares on 26 Gate Road. The offset is a 1-for-1 offset, so it means that leaves remaining 1.6 hectares that we can land bank for future offsets. Pretty straightforward. We've reviewed several other proposed sites, but this one fit the purpose the best. It was currently classified as reserve, and it will now be classified as conservation area. So it will be held in perpetuity for that purpose. So the recommendation 13.1, that by simple majority, Council number 1 endorses reserve number 11597, situated at 26 Gate Road, Dowerin, as the biodiversity offset required to satisfy the clearing permit conditions for the Shire's Black Spot funded road upgrade project. 2, supports changing the land classification of Reserve 11597 to conservation to formalise its designation as a protected offset in accordance with DWER requirements. 3, authorises the CEO to finalise all required documentation and correspondence to progress the biodiversity offset and clearing permit with DWER. Who wants to move that one, please? Councillor Sewell, and seconded Councillor Hudson. Would either of you like to comment on that?
Other than say, whenever to get this progressed, the clearing permits just been dragging on and on and on, which happens every time after time with them, and we're in the process now to go forward and make that bit of road safe again.
Thank you. Anyone oppose it? No. To the vote, by show of hands, 6-0 carried. I have no further urgent business, and I don't believe we have any elected member motions. No. There are no matters to be discussed behind closed doors. I think this might go for a record. I declare the meeting closed at 4:26 and thank everyone for attending. Thank you.